Hello and welcome to another edition of Super Kicking It with Stephen and Greg. Your favorite two hosts, Stephen A. 1181 right here, the Wiz over there. We are back. It has been a long month. It's been a lot of ups and downs, and so we are here the last day of November. Greg, I cannot believe we turned the counter into December. We are going to give you all the War Games predictions today. I've been watching some of the old school ones, just kind of get my mind ready for it. And I think we're in for a fun night tonight. Early start time of 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be a little 3 o'clock afternoon viewing for you, Greg, over there on the West Coast. So I'm not going to lie. I like the earlier start times. It feels like the evening's still kind of there at the end of it. But sorry, we've been kind of in and out. I've been busy. Greg has been gallivanting around the world. So if you want to start right there, Greg, how in the world did you end up in Thailand and then Australia, I believe, last week?
Yep, you're right. I mean, I've been on vacation since the 10th, and I kicked it off by going out to Los Angeles and seeing my first Charger game at SoFi.
Mhm.
They kicked the Titans' butt, which was awesome. I got to meet Antonio Gates.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Nice.
Bought my first Justin Herbert jersey in the parking lot. So it's it was a good
Is it
start.
official?
It looks
Is
official.
there
That's
some
all I'm saying.
stitching? Is it
Um,
stuck on numbers and letters?
right, Herbert spelled right.
Herbert's
So
spelled right? Yeah.
yep. So it looks legit. So I'm gonna go with it.
Okay.
Um, Support the other Charger community trying to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Um,
The underbelly.
yeah, exactly. The wholesalers. Yeah, yeah. Um, and after that, I got on a plane and went out to Dallas, then to Korea, where I spent the night because I couldn't get to Thailand the way I wanted to. So I had to detour through Hong Kong. So I got to go to China and visit my first communist country.
Okay.
And
You were in South Korea then, and not North Korea, because there
yes, South Korea.
would have been a couple communist uh, expeditions there.
Exactly. And I still might not be here if I went to North Korea. So
Yeah, that's true.
South Korea it is. Um, Went to China and then finally made it into Bangkok. Spent a good week there. Love it. If you haven't been there yet, I advise everybody to go. It's awesome.
Okay.
Uh, the street food is as good as anything in the restaurant,
Oh wow.
which is uh, great for me because one American dollar is 34, 35 Thailand dollars. So,
Hmm.
you eat really good for less than $10 a day.
Okay.
And it's a very big sense of community there.
Mhm.
And even though it's very overpopulated, it's still a family vibe going on throughout the whole area. So I really dig Bangkok, Thailand in general. I went to Phuket last year, and still the same kind of familial familial vibe out there. So
Yeah.
love Thailand. It's my
Okay.
third time going down there. Probably keep going every year. Uh, and then try to get out of Thailand. My flights that I had planned weren't going through, and the way out was through Australia. So I ended up flying down to Australia.
Hmm.
And I still had about 6 days left of my vacation. I was like, well, I can just stay here a couple days instead
Yeah.
of flying right back out. So that's what I did. I stayed an extra 2 days, got to see Australia, got the picture at the Opera House,
Okay.
and got to do a little sightseeing with one of the locals, which was very nice.
Okay.
And then finally got on the plane, came back to the States, and hit North Carolina just for good measure to visit a friend's birthday party. And
Hmm.
I've seen the inside of my house for about 6 hours until Friday, from
Okay.
the 10th of the month until
Wow.
the day before Thanksgiving. So great vacation. Spent too much money, but that's what you do on vacation. And now I'm back to make it all back in December. So
Oh yeah. You know,
worthwhile
it's up
trip,
to you.
but sorry the time zones and the connections made it hard to get on and do anything
Well,
uh,
yeah.
with you. So my apologies about that, but that
That
was awesome, and I highly suggest doing it if you get a chance to get out of the country.
Yeah, and I of course had my own ups and downs during the month. We did lose my grandma early on. Uh, we had the funeral on Veterans Day, which was kind of a full circle moment since my grandpa had fought in World War II. He passed away when my mom was 5 years old, so I never got to meet him myself. He was 42 years old when he passed away. So my grandma raised 7 kids,
Wow.
ages 15 to 3 or 4, or 3-ish, 3 or 2. So yeah, she raised 6 girls and 1 boy. So yeah, she passed away at 101. So
Man.
it was very, yeah. A lot of people are like, well, was it sudden? I mean, it wasn't sudden per se, but it definitely hit hard. Like, you saw her not eating as much. She wasn't drinking, and just was in and out of it. So yeah. We celebrated her 100th last year, and to see the difference in a year does show it was a slow decline, but then once it hit, it hit. So
Right.
that was a very rough time, and still, just we're thinking about her all the time. I think so. Thanksgiving was a little bit different, just with you know she hasn't been coming to our house for Thanksgiving, but just that idea that yeah, she's totally not here. So then got hit with pneumonia, so that was fun. A couple days I was out for that.
Oh
Had no
man.
clue I had pneumonia until I got X-rayed, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have pneumonia." So I was down for a couple days, and yeah, so I joked, I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready to turn to December and get the month going." So the best, the quickest month of the year, I think, is December, just because you're so excited about stuff. Our principal at my school's already emailed us with days. Um, the last 20 some school days, she wants to kind of give us a little reprieve from wearing our usual dress codes. Just usually put out some, Christmas wear we can wear during out the year or the last month. So yeah,
Nice.
it is going to be a long month, and it will go quick. Kind of how it is. So yeah. Anyways, so that's what I've been doing with Greg. So it's been a weird November, honestly. So just ready to turn the page. We got War Games, and we can officially break the news, Greg. We got your Royal Rumble ticket. You just got to get
Yeah.
here, so we will
That's what I'm
work.
talking about.
We will get in person, and we're trying to talk to um, Dan and Damon and maybe Sean, and try to do a live. That's right, in
Hey.
person Royal Rumble slash whatever the hell we talk about day or hours. So we are going to work on that behind the scenes, as they say. But I'm looking forward to that. And
Nice.
yeah, it's going to be very fun. Royal Rumble is coming up. It felt like just yesterday it was like, okay, it's 6 months away now. It's like, oh, it's coming. So
Yeah.
but we got War Games today, Greg. And just to show the importance of how Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser is, they have no match graphic for it, Greg. So I had to just put the little featured pictures. This is all Braun in my book. I mean, I understand Sheamus. He probably eventually has to win that IC title, right? But I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger. I mean, the big deal would be doing it at WrestleMania and giving him that Grand Slam, final title he needs. So I think
Mhm.
it's all Braun tonight. Probably gets the pinfall on Ludwig. But I think come WrestleMania, Greg, Sheamus gets that elusive title. Just like I think the Big Show won it at WrestleMania. So yeah, I think Sheamus does get the IC title come WrestleMania time. But any disagreements there, Greg?
No, I mean, I don't think they'd be talking about it as much if they weren't planning for it to happen.
Yeah.
So I do think it will happen, but just not yet. This is about still building on Braun's momentum, and he's really establishing a nice fan base
Hmm.
with the audience. And you can hear it when he does his promos. You can hear it when he's in his matches. People are really getting behind him. So this is all about building him up and putting him in matches with guys who were former champions, top of the card guys, is only going to help elevate him more. So having Sheamus in this match does that for him. It also helps Ludwig Kaiser, and it's even if he doesn't win because he's in that spotlight too. So he's going to get some of the shine also.
Yeah.
It's taking a minute to separate him from being Gunther's henchman. Yeah. So this is a way to get some single shine on him, and he's been doing a great job. So props to him, and he's on his way up too. But this is all about Braun and keeping his momentum going. And if he's carrying the belt all the way into WrestleMania, then that's a big feather in his cap. That gives him a good 4 or 5 month reign before he would conceivably lose it to Sheamus. But that's nothing to sneeze at. So just more to boost him up. But he definitely wins this match.
Especially if they do maybe they give Braun the Money in the Bank, as a kind of a middle
Right?
step through that next to the WWE title. So yeah, and I'm kind of looking maybe they're building up Ludwig to maybe him and Gunther can go after the tag team titles once Gunther loses his world title. That could kind of be a nice boon for Ludwig, and it could give some prestige to the tag team titles. Having Gunther there, so. I feel like there's a couple ways you can go with, Ludwig down the road, but, I do agree with you. I think Braun they're positioned him nicely. They're kind of testing the waters to see, as a face, he can get the reactions, and as a heel, he could still turn it on. So I feel like he's in a really good spot. It's a good thing they turned him, in NXT to kind of give him that screen test down there and let him really perfect it. Yep. Now, like I said, you can turn him either way because it looked like, we might have been going for the face run when he kind of gave the handshake to Jay after losing, and then he attacks him then a couple weeks later or whatever it was. So, yeah, they're really positioning Braun in a good light to either go either way, whatever they need for him. So that's the most you can ask of a superstar wrestler. So. How about this one, Greg? I'm going back and forth. I love LA Knight. But we got to give something to Nakamura, right? I mean, now with the new look, now the downfall is, Greg, he did miss him last night. So it feels like you're not going to give him the title tonight. But, maybe a DQ win. But I'm going to say Nakamura picks up some sort of win tonight. I think Nakamura needs to keep rolling somehow. So I will give Nakamura the win, but I feel like it's going to be DQ tonight, Craig.
I feel you on that. You know how much I love LA Knight. I've been on his bandwagon since the moment he came in, and I think this is going to be the title change. Yeah. I love Nakamura, and I love this new rebranding.
Yeah, I mean, how many times can we keep doing it with him? That
right. I mean, it looked awesome when he came back and he did the series of matches with Cody and I believe AJ.
The comic book style type stuff.
Yeah, and they had something going there, but they just couldn't pull the trigger and give them significant wins. So I think they're going to learn from their mistakes last time and not do the same thing. If you're going to come back, bring him back, build him up, give him this new super evil persona, then he can't keep losing the big matches. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point? So, as much as I love my guy LA, I think this is the moment he comes back and makes a big impact, Nakamura that is, by winning the title and fleshing out his character even more. LA Knight's going to be just fine. Speaking of Money in the Bank, there's somebody else you could pivot into that role. So, he can still fall upwards too.
I'd like to see a nice Royal Rumble run for LA Knight, like last 4, and then see what he can do at WrestleMania. So
Exactly. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on Nakamura, and I'm sure my guy will forgive me for saying it, but I'm still in your corner, LA. You're my
Yeah.
guy, but I want Nakamura to get that shine and momentum, and see what he can do with this new character. So
Yeah.
let's get it. It's gonna be best for everybody. So
And that's what I think. Like you need, and like I said, I know it's still fresh, but we've started Nakamura a few times now, and now's the time to pull the trigger on something other than he's more sinister now, but it doesn't result in wins. So it's like,
yeah.
okay, well, that doesn't mean much. So. How about this one, Greg? We got a lot of players in this match. So we have the face side, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, and Io Sky. Remember, Jade got taken out. Let's start there, Greg. Who took out Jade?
Ooh, burning question. Um,
If you want to play it right, it's got to be Naomi. Because Naomi wanted Bayley in the match. Naomi needs something, Greg, besides the glow stuff. Because even that's starting to run off. So I think, now I know your theory would be Bianca somehow, and who knows, maybe Bianca and Naomi in cahoots to
right.
take out Jade or something like that. But it's either got to be Bianca or Naomi. I guess is the two suspects. we're going back to Rikishi doing it for The Rock type days, Greg. But I really, because I still think you could do Bianca and Jade at some point, but maybe in the meantime you could do Naomi and Jade at Royal Rumble or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want Naomi because her turning on everybody and just saying I'm done with the glow. You take off the hair, go to some natural hair color. You throw away all the other glow stuff of her, Greg, and I still throw out the idea that she should probably be in line with Bloodline somehow, but now it's kind of crazy because the OG Bloodline is good. So you can't really throw her with that if you're going to turn her heel.
Right.
But I think you got to pull the trigger on Naomi being the one that took out Jade. What are your own thoughts?
I like that point of view. And I agree with you. Since Naomi came back, I thought she was going to do something different than what she was doing when she left.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge disappointment for me. I really wanted a new character, something that we haven't seen before, and we're not getting it. It's just the same old with her. So if it comes out that she was the one that did it, I would be happy about it, just because it gives us a significant character change with her, and we get to see her um, as a heel for the first time ever.
Yeah.
On that same front, Bianca, who, since last WrestleMania, I've been saying this is the match. Bianca and Jade, I got her. It's when you look at the way that Jade was, that still shot of her splayed out across the car and busted up. Who could do that? I mean, if there's a one woman to hit, it would be Bianca, I think. And we haven't seen her as the heel since NXT.
Yep.
When she first was getting started. So you figure with her influence and her love from the under 12 WWE fans with the young girls and things like that, that would be a very hard turn to make. But we are about to hit a new era with the Netflix conversion.
Yep.
And focusing at a higher age demographic, 18 to 34s and above, getting our rating up there to PG-13 or R. I don't know which one they're going for these days, but that gives her room to do something like this and get into back to that heel role, which she did really well back in NXT.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking with my guns and say that it was that it was Bianca that did it, and now you have all the beef you need to have that match at WrestleMania, and use this next couple months to build, stoke the flames, pretty much.
Yep. And then as far as the War Games match, you know who I really want to see Candice LeRae get a few big moments, you know, a few spots in here, Greg, to kind of finally get her going. You know, she lost Indy Hartwell. It feels like now she's tagging along with, you know, Nia and Tiffany. So now she needs something bigger. You know, she needs to kind of prove herself. And if you, you know, like you love your Lucha Underground, Greg, if you type in Candice LeRae PWG, you will see the bloodiest woman fight ever with her, Joey Ryan, against the Young Bucks, where she took quite a few bumps and even some super kicks, Greg, that resulted in quite a bit of blood. So if you want to go see, you know, real violent women violence, there is right there on PWG, old school wrestling. But I'm going to go the heel side. I think the heels, you know, need the win in this match, you know, just to kind of play up what they're doing now. So, and, you know, maybe there is I would say with the idea that the big return is probably happening tonight, Greg, you don't pull the trigger on the cash in. But if the heels were to lose, man, Tiffany, come on, just cash it in. But I'm going to say the heels pick up the win, standing tall, and, you know, either Liv or Nia will be the kind of get the final pinfall, Greg. Which direction are you going?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, that it's going to be a heel win. And I think it's because that we're going to have the turn during the match. And I think Bianca switches sides. And that is going to cause the pinfall. And whether it's Bianca that gets it or somebody else who vultures the pin, that's going to be the last vision of this match, is that Bianca standing on the side with the other women, and the other four looking at her, you know, like she's a ghost or something. But the big reveal happens during the match, and we get the turn, and now we're rolling with the new storylines, with the heel side winning, plus how the other four are going to get back at Bianca for what happened.
And if you're into betting, Greg, if you want the easiest bet ever, Io Sky will jump from the top of the cage with the trash can. If you need it,
there you go.
If you need to make a few bucks, but I really, who do you think you want to see as the standout? Like I said, I don't necessarily think Candice LeRae will be the standout, Greg, but I would love to see her get her moments. Is there anybody, or literally, you know, maybe Tiffany?
Yeah,
maybe look, you know, so
exactly. I think they're waiting too long to pull this trigger. You know,
I feel like it's not going to mean as much. I feel like people are like, okay, like,
yeah,
it will still get the pop, but I don't know if it's going to get the long-term pop, you know, the long-term necessity they need out of it.
I agree. And if in the event that the faces win, you know, if she takes that moment to cash in right there, then boom, she's the last image that we remember the match, and the place will erupt for her. So there is that way to look at it too.
And that's kind of why I'm, you know, if you do the face side, let them take the, you know, they get the win in the war, but, you know, you got to let Tiffany have some moment. So, you know, unless maybe they're waiting for that Saturday night main event, you know, to pull the trigger there, but it's got to be some big event to finally let her have her shine. So. This one is all Gunther, Greg. Damian Priest is fine. I not expecting much out of this match. I feel like it's just a notch on his belt. You know, we don't really need it.
Right. I mean, this match is pointless. I saw a post the other day. It's like, what chance do you give Priest of winning the match?
Negative.
I was like 0 to the 10th power.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is just a kind of a filler match, and Triple H has been good about staying away from filler matches, but
Yeah,
this one, yeah, no, it's a thumbs down on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's nothing against the guys, Greg. It's just that we've already seen it, and
Yeah,
we saw a pretty decisive win. It's not, now they've already had two matches. Well, they've had two matches, right? Because we kind of had the shoulder up fiasco, and then they
yeah.
had the legit match. So there's no reason to revisit it. But um, by the way, I think the War Games women's match, does that open up tonight?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
makes
And I
sense.
kind of feel like this will be before the men's match, just to kind of give you that letdown, but that kind of cool off, which
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sucks for Gunther. But do we see him holding the title through Mania or till Mania? Sorry, Greg.
Yes, at least until Mania for sure.
Okay, yeah, and that's kind of how. And then finally, all right, OG Bloodline with CM Punk, Greg. Paul Heyman calling in the favor. But now CM Punk has a favor. And I think the most telling sign of last night, Greg, was Paul Heyman in that segment saying, Roman's like, what's the favor? And Paul Heyman's like, well, we'll discuss that at a later time.
Right.
Paul Heyman, there's something, Greg, we shared it in the group chat. He dressed like Solo last week. There was a wink to Jay or to Jimmy. Paul Heyman is a freaking sneak anyway, Greg. There's something shady happening in this match, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's a
Things are not
swerve
afoot
happening in this match
at
somewhere.
the quickie mark.
Exactly. Something's going to go down, and um, it's going to tilt the scales for immensely to one side. So um, I'm feeling that there's definitely going to be a change of sides for somebody in one of these War Games matches, if not both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I called it for the women's side already, so it'd be kind of redundant to do it in both matches.
Yeah, I think this is OG. I think the OG win it. I don't think we see any of the shenanigans till after the match. You know how Triple H loves the show up the graphic, give us a minute to be like, okay, Survivor Series is over. And that's either where that's where The Rock shows up. He is all done with all the Moana 2 work, Greg. And he said he's going home to rest. Well, we know where home is. Home is WWE.
Right.
So
we're going home to rest soul.
Yeah, and I'm okay with Paul Heyman, maybe Paul Heyman being like, call The Rock, and The Rock shows up or something like that. But Heyman, I think, does turn, and we get The Rock. And then Roman and CM Punk both get screwed, and you can still have them go at each other because you can both have them get screwed by Paul Heyman and be like, well, I trusted you and you trusted me, so you have them button heads anyway. Because I think that's a match you want to do right there. So the guy to watch though is Jacob, right? Jacob is going to terrorize this whole freaking match.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we're and like you've said, maybe an AEW light style. Give us some color. Let them have the shackles off, as they say, Greg.
Yeah, because this is more. It's still a heavy storyline, but this is one where you expect the brutality to be ramped up.
Yeah.
More weapons, more violence, and less choreography as far as having one
Like
particular
spots.
person injured or something like that.
Yes.
That is just wanton violence everywhere, and everybody's doing dastardly things to each other. So AEW flavored cage match, and they did it well in the last one.
CM Punk and Drew.
Yeah. So I want more of that. I mean, I think the reviews from Punk and Drew was 5 stars everywhere, and we can do the same thing for this one. But yeah, it's definitely going to happen, and Jacob's going to be the bull in the china shop. And so he's definitely going to be the pivotal piece. If they manage to get him down, or he steamrolls everybody. And yeah, that Paul is the key to everything.
Yeah.
Um, as far as what side I got winning, I'm feeling the OG bloodline. For some reason, that's what sticks out to me is that the OGs, maybe because of the whole Punk and Roman thing,
Yeah.
and what the favorite could be, because Roman doesn't have a title, so it's not going to be he's next in line for a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the hook?
Mm-hmm.
And if the new bloodline wins, we don't get to find out what the hook is.
Yeah.
Unless you could just say, I came in, I did my part. Now you owe me,
Yeah.
whether win or lose.
And then
So
pay it down the road.
right. Um, but I think it gets more attention if they win. So I think just off of that, flimsy reason alone, I'm going to go with the OGs um, to get the win. They've been taking L's everywhere else for months,
Yeah.
and the new bloodline has got them right and left. So I think this is a good moment to get some payback,
Yeah.
and score a big win.
Especially like we said, if there's a bigger story after, which
Yeah.
is really what we're kind of waiting to see. I guess easiest money in this match, big Bronson Reed off the top of the cage at some point, Greg. And I feel sorry for whoever has to.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be Jimmy.
Monster Tsunami, the mother of all tsunamis.
Well,
Man.
Seth isn't here, so at least Seth doesn't. And Seth is thanking God he's not in this match, right, Greg? Because he probably would have been eating that. So
right, who's next up for some time off? Because that's going to be the guy who gets
it. Who needs a little rest? So, but yeah, I think because I think with the OG, you have to make the Punk and Roman thing work at least tonight, and then you said one time. So if you have them lose, then like you said, it really wasn't worth putting Punk in the match. So, but I do think The Rock shows up at the end, and because you'll have the new bloodline, wreak havoc anyway. They don't care about the win, Greg. So, and we've already had Solo making little jabs toward or little subtle hints towards The Rock. And like I said, what better time than have him show back up? So I know some people are pulling out the card, Greg, Brock Lesnar, but and it's in Canada. I mean, it's in Canada, so there is a little. And you could have Roman, or you could have Paul just kind of screw everybody and just totally be back with Brock and not worry about anybody, right? So I think that's a little far fetched for what this team, but so
it's a nice thought, but
I think Jacob and Bronson are the guys I want to watch. Because like I said, I think they're going to let Jacob go wild, and Bronson Reed off the top of the cage is going to be a sight. Because man, I don't know how you you better be they better be practicing that for whoever's underneath that thing. So so
and I love Bronson being in the new bloodline because he fits perfectly.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and if we didn't know he was Australian already, and you could say he's Samoan and has Samoan roots or whatever, you'd be like, yeah, I see it.
Yep.
But regardless, he still looks the part, and when you put him in there with the rest of them, he fits like a glove. So I love his addition, especially if it's not just a temporary one-off thing, that he is the official fifth member, which if the new G bloodline wins, there'll be some type of induction ceremony for him or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just make him a permanent part. I think that would be awesome because they've done a great job building him up and turning him into a real beast.
Mm-hmm.
And he deserves it. He should be in that spotlight and involved in that war because he just is the perfect addition to it. So I hope this stays a permanent thing, while this storyline is running for Bronson, because it's only going to help put him up at the top.
Yeah, still got to figure out. I guess I'm curious to see what his next, you know, trajectory will be. I think a good Royal Rumble run for him probably is expected too. So, and
Hmm.
then come WrestleMania, I'm really going to see where he's positioned because they've done everything they can, Greg. Now you just got to figure out what that kind of end game is because, like we said, WrestleMania tends to be the big, payoff for some guys.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that is all I have right now. Any kind of closing thoughts? Survivor Series is an interesting one, Greg, because I was kind of thinking about this. Back in the day, it was all about um, the 4-on-4, 5-on-5 matches. Then, of course, we had the Deadly Games tournament where The Rock screwed Mankind. We've had Bret Hart get screwed over. We had an Elimination Chamber there, Greg. We had the Invasion angle.
Yep.
It does feel like now War Games is but it does feel like Survivor Series has always been that they're trying to find the right niche for it, right?
Hmm.
So, but it's just kind of any kind of quick thoughts on Survivor. I love the War Game stuff of it. I know sometimes it feels forced,
Yeah.
kind of especially with the women's side of things. But for the most part, with the War Games in NXT, you always had the Undisputed Era versus whoever it felt like. But I
Right.
like the War Games aspect that they've added the last few years, Greg.
Yeah, I agree. And it's I remember the first War Games way back during the NWA era and the Four Horsemen being the undisputed era of the 80s and 90s
Yeah.
because it was always whatever new heel group was going to link up to
Mhm.
take on the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
And violent, bloody brawls, which what War Games is supposed to be. Um, and that's what it is for me, is evolving the Survivor Series November Thanksgiving aspect, still having the team versus team, and just evolving it to cage matches instead of just basic tag team elimination matches.
Yeah.
It's advanced with the times.
Mhm.
And if you're gonna have that many guys in the ring together, then it's got to be more chaotic than just a 5-man tag.
Yeah.
So I love War Games, and I wasn't a big fan of it when they first brought it in, and it was more. Um, they took out the brutality and the violence for whatever reason because it's the PG era or whatever.
Yeah.
But they've turned up the violence and the heat, and we're getting to see some blood and more dangerous things happening, which is the way it should be if there's 10 men in a cage.
Yeah.
So, and 10 women for that matter.
Mhm.
So I think it's a natural progression, and this is the War Games that I grew up with. That I'm glad they're going back to the roots with it. So um, now this is the new staple, War Games in November. Um, I'm with it. So I'm rooting for them to be awesome both matches, and we get a good storyline out of both of them. But the danger factor should be there. Shouldn't be bored for a second in any of these matches.
And I do like. I guess I'm thinking more even about the brand warfare we had back in the day, Greg. I forgot we also had
True. Yeah.
NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. So if you can build NXT up to that next level, why not? Next year, or the year after, give us a team of 5 of NXT, a team of 5 of Raw, a team of 5 of SmackDown, War Games match, and then whoever wins. Now the biggest thing is giving us stakes.
Yeah.
Give a draft pick or give a trade. So I would like to, especially we got William Regal, Greg. Who doesn't want to hear William Regal yell War Games?
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, I was kind
And
of
we
thinking
saw
about
him on
that.
TV recently too. So
Yep, he's been with Lexus King
yep.
a couple times. So it looks, we're slowly maybe trying the Lexus King change into legit, not this character that he is as much, but we got Deadline next week, and then we have Saturday Night Main Event the week after. So we got some fun events coming up for NXT and for WWE, the main roster. So then then we're off and running towards Royal Rumble in February. So yeah, we got Outworlds in for AEW. Any kind of quick thoughts? Not much. I don't think there was any real big surprises last week from AEW. Is Darby Allin going to be the one to take care of Jon Moxley, Greg?
No, he'll be the next in line to fight him.
Yeah.
He won't be the one to get the job done, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know who. Does Daniel Bryan come back and somehow? But I would like to see Darby get it, but I also love to see Orange Cassidy get it. So, yeah, I don't know. That one is interesting, and the bit, the heel turn or the Camille stuff. What was it? Brian Alvarez is like, he doesn't know why they pulled the trigger so quick, Greg, and he's saying there's no match probably scheduled for them too. Does that mean Camille's already on her way out of AEW?
Well, she already had her arm in a split, so that would leave the impression that there's not going to be a match anytime soon, unless this is just a sprain or something.
Yeah.
But you need to, if you're going to have her, quit, there should be a payoff aside from her just quitting and leaving Sasha looking bad, or Mercedes. I'm always going to be calling her Sasha. But there should be a payoff with a match, but who knows? Maybe she is on her way out, and this was just a short-term deal.
Yeah.
Sasha, there it is again. Mercedes needed a heavy, and
she got the heavy.
She got the heavy for a few months. So, and she was just a lackey, and you only can roll with that for so long before you get bored with it. So
yeah.
Well,
I guess that's the thing too. You didn't have Camille. You just said she quit. She didn't do the physical nature. So is there any reason? I mean, like you said, unless you just have Mercedes just take her out and you move on like that. So does Mercedes get a new heavy, Greg, or do you think they let her try to do her own thing on her own?
I think she's going to start rolling with the. Well, no, I can't say that because the Bucks are gone. So I would say the EVPs, because she's been schmoozing with the EVPs so much. But now the Bucks are MIA.
I think, and they'll be headed towards the IWGP titles. They announced they'll be out. So Wrestle Dynasty will kind of be that big weekend in January, where the Tokyo Dome. So that will be very interesting to kind of see. There'll be a big of AW/IWGP mixture there, Greg. So get the Young Bucks maybe one last time in the Tokyo Dome. Because I am curious to see how much longer they want to be performers on the roster.
Is Wrestle Dynasty different than Wrestle Kingdom, which they usually do in January?
See, that's the thing. I don't know if that's going to replace it, or if Wrestle Kingdom will be the night before, and then Wrestle Dynasty is the day after. We'll have to check our schedules on that. But because usually Wrestle Kingdom was the big 2-day event at the Tokyo Dome. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Okada, all the big heavy hitters have had big moments there, Greg. I think Ospreay, Jay White. So, but it feels like, maybe they're combining their efforts to give us just an all-out big show there. So we shall see.
All right. One last question about Survivor Series for you. We already have written in Rock is going to be a person we'll see before the night's over. Who else you got as far as a return? Or do you think anybody else is going to pop up that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I feel like The Rock is the big one, so that's going to overshadow anything, Greg.
True.
So the biggest thing I would like to see, if it's, if you do it, is Tiffany's cashing in. Give us something. I guess Charlotte probably is ready, Greg. It looks like she's getting ready to go soon. I think they're going to save Becky for Netflix. The Becky return. Just keep her under wraps. What else? I'm trying to think of who else is out there, because those are the big two women, right? Is there a name that I'm not thinking of that you have in mind?
not for tonight, but coming back for before, well, during WrestleMania season. Let's say
Yeah.
that. My hot Asian girlfriend.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oscar
I think she'll be ready for Road to WrestleMania,
and Alexa.
and I'm projecting her in the Royal Rumble match. So I
Okay.
think we get to see her in person. But I think there's a couple they're getting ready to come back out of the ether. Becky, like you said, Charlotte, a lot of the women,
Yeah.
the top name women.
Yeah, they need a little more on the star power on the women's side.
Yeah,
Because the men's side, I think we're good. I don't know if there's any names out there, that I'm like, okay, they need to be here. Or,
I got one, Edge.
Yeah, they
I've
got
been
him
seeing stuff
Copeland.
that we may have seen the last of Edge in AEW.
Yeah, could be interesting. I mean, because they just trademarked? Did they trademark one of those?
They just trademarked Edge.
Edge. Yeah.
So
So
there's a clue right there.
You do the over the edge pay per view. Go back to that old school one. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, what a Royal Rumble pop that would be, Greg.
Right.
I mean, it kind of circles back to that. So that Royal Rumble is always the one that you're like, okay, you'll see some names like you said. Asuka probably should be ready. Maybe we'll get some TNA flavor. Joe
True.
Hendry. He's been kind of under wraps, Greg. So what a pop he might get if he shows up at the Royal Rumble. Like people said, probably gets thrown out by somebody right afterwards. But hey, a Royal Rumble payday is a Royal Rumble payday, right? I mean,
Amen. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what the payday is, Greg, but hey, if you're in the match, you're getting paid. So that's all that matters. So, and you'll get the recognition. So yeah.
Right. And we
I
said
think,
his name, but my guy Brock Lesnar, he's
yeah.
on the horizon. I can feel him.
Can you feel it? Okay.
I can feel it. He's coming in at some point, and it's going to happen in the next. We'll say we're saving him for Netflix too, but we're going to see him.
Yeah.
He's going to be back in January, so I'm booking Brock Lesnar in some type of storyline in January.
Okay.
My guy, he's coming back.
I mean, everybody does come back eventually, Greg. So if you got all the stuff cleared up with the lawsuits and all that, everybody gets another chance. So I'd like to see Sable back personally, just kind of see what she's been up to. But that would be a name to see. So, but yeah, I think it's WrestleMania season's coming upon us pretty soon, and it's gonna be a fun one just because they're good. The Netflix episode feels like they're trying to make that as huge as possible. That first one out of the gate, Greg, and then doing WrestleMania in Vegas. Triple H has things cooking, as they say, in the kitchen. He is. It will not be a kitchen nightmare as I've been watching lately, but yeah, we shall see. But
love that show.
I know, yeah. It also makes you wonder about eating out at restaurants, Greg. But now So. All right, well, that's all I've got. Sports wise, what do we got? My Pacers are out officially of the Cup, so no championship run for them there, Greg. We were 3-0 on this homestand, lost big to the Pistons last night. Pistons are rolling in that tournament. The Cavs are out of the tournament, and here the Cavs had the best record in the NBA for a bit, Greg. So your Suns are they're in the middle of the pack. I think I saw two, right?
Yeah.
Your Suns
are still in it.
Yeah.
But they're just now getting the big three back. Durant and Beal have been injured, and Booker's been trying to carry the team himself. But all three are back together now, and what do you know it? As soon as it happens, they start winning. Imagine that. So
go figure. Yeah.
We'll see how the rest of it plays out. But now they're back and they're cooking. So
yeah. And my Pacers, I mean, I know injuries are injuries, but man, we've got hit hard here. I mean, I think one game they play like 8 players, Greg. That's how many players are, maybe 9. There was one game, it was rough. So, I mean, Halliburton looks like he's rounded form. You got Siakam, who's doing well. I mean, he's your son's. He's trying to carry the Pacers himself, but I think Siakam needs a couple other pieces. So we got Nemhard and Aaron Neesmith. They're battling the injury bug. They should be back in December. So hopefully, starting because that's their starting five. I mean, we're starting Quentin Jackson, who is right in the bench, Greg. So, we have our rookie, Johnny Furpey, trying to play some minutes, and Moses Brown, who we signed 2 weeks ago, Enrique Freeman. So, yeah, we got some names, Greg, that I'm like,
like who?
These guys, D-League guys. And, I mean, like I said, they went 3-0 at first on this homestand and then just took a beating last night. Not sure what happened there, but then my Colts got the Patriots tomorrow. Anthony Richardson, I guess, is the savior now, Greg.
Is he?
It's a fun
Did he
time
stay
here.
on the field long enough to be a savior?
He was on the field last week or 2 weeks ago. Lost it last week, but yeah, carried them back to beat they beat somebody at the end of the game, and then they lost last week big time. Oh, we got killed by the Lions.
Oh yeah.
So
that was ugly.
Who
I thought about you. I was watching that tomorrow. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Who your Chargers got tomorrow?
We got Atlanta.
Okay.
And after that rough Monday night football game against the Ravens, this is a perfect get right game.
Yeah.
Against Atlanta. We're 7-4. So if you would tell me after week 12 we'd be 7-4, I'd be like, yes, please and thank you. And Atlanta's the perfect remedy for getting back on track.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing anything special. They are just coming off a bye, so they've had a lot of rest. But the Chargers have been through the fire with 3 really good teams in a row.
Mm-hmm.
With was it the Bengals, the Ravens back to back? I think they beat the Saints the week before that, so that doesn't really count. But now they're hitting a real tough stretch. They still got Tampa Bay coming up. They still got Kansas City coming up. And then finish with the Raiders in New England. So we figured there's 2 cupcakes at the end of the schedule, but they still need another couple wins to guarantee the playoffs. But at 7-4 right now, going to Atlanta, they're looking real good and getting into the playoffs, at least with a wild card.
Well, my Colts are 8th, Greg. Surprisingly. So, and it's the top 8 teams, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because you look at the Texans; they're 7-5, we're 5-7. If they could have got the win over the Texans there a few weeks ago, who knows where things could have been? But yeah, the Colts went out. Who knows what might happen? Because we got. Let me try. I was trying to think. We got a light schedule towards the end. We had the Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, and Jags, Greg. So I don't who knows what might happen. So I guess you could either win 4 out of 5 or you could lose 4 out of 5, right? With the way the NFL goes some days. So,
yeah.
So that's the Chiefs keep getting lucky though, it looks like.
Holy crap. I mean, man, I don't root for the Raiders, but a Chiefs loss would have been great.
Yeah.
Would have been so great. And just because they only had 4 wins, that would have put them 2 short of the out of first place with a head-to-head game coming up. They could have done us a favor and gave them an L. They had the ball with a minute left going down the field and almost in field goal range, and trust the Raiders to screw it up. So, yeah, thanks for nothing, Raiders.
No, and they eliminated themselves, Greg, because now they are officially eliminated from the playoff contention show. So,
and who's luckier than the Chiefs? Good grief! They keep squeaking out these wins, but that just tells me that when they get to the playoffs, that luck's going to run out.
That's what's the weird thing. Yeah, like you always, you wonder when do you get hit with the luck on the wrong side of the ledger, as I say, Greg. And I mean, sometimes that's what you need, though, right? To get in there and then see what happens. So the Bills are still looking strong. Maybe this is finally either they break through because it didn't look too good. People were kind of down on them it felt like at the beginning. Now they're 9-2. Greg, I didn't even realize they're that good. So yeah, we got some interesting battles coming down, and the Lions keep rolling, 11-1. That's who would have thought we'd ever see in our lifetime. I know you're on the side of 50, Greg. So who would have thought see a 11-1 Lions team? So we'll see if they do it.
Right.
All
They
right.
didn't
Well,
even do that with the GOAT Barry Sanders in their backfield. So this is a huge
deal for them.
huge moment for them. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's all we got today. Enjoy Survivor Series. Early start time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A little 3 o'clock kickoff there for you guys on the West Coast. So nice early day of. I'm guessing Vancouver must be an hour behind us or something. There's no UFC tonight, is there?
Saturday there is. I think there's UFC 310 tonight.
Maybe that's why that could be why the start time's earlier then too.
Yeah, there's a couple big title fights right at the top of the card, so it's going to be a good show. They're bringing in a guy from Japan who's been killing everybody over there, and now this is his jump, and he gets right into a title fight. Yeah. Kai Asakura. Okay. And from his highlight reel, dude's legit, like super legit. So he looks like he fits as far as being a guy who's if he's going to come in and get an immediate title shot, it should be this guy. So it would make sense that with MMA and WWE in league with each other with TKO brand that they would schedule it so that they don't overlap each other.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I kind of like it. I mean, yes, it's a later, the evening doesn't feel as late on an 8 o'clock start time. So I know you on the West Coast, it's never that late. Until we get to the European pay-per-views. I don't know how that works. I guess that's early for you too, though. That's in the morning. Really never mind. You're good either way, Greg. So then more of the story, move to the West Coast if you want to watch early sports. All right. Well, we will get going and let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Talk to you guys soon.